and welcome back. I am DarcyBits. This is Urza's AI making Praetors of Enchanted Ice, our third block in our third set in our three-set block. Nailed it. Based on Theros sets. Not specifically Theros block, because I messed up. We've talked about this before. Don't worry about it. If you're new, hi! I am using Urza's AI to generate AI-generated magic cards. If you're not new, you know what them? You know. Anyway, we're doing green cards today, and hopefully the remaining multicolor and colorless cards as well, because I am looking forward to getting to some actual gameplay with these cards. So, to not belabor the point, let's get started. Our first card is Rimewind Alpha, a 2-mana green 2/2 Centaur Druid. It's really good. Whenever Rimewind Alpha or another any? Does that say any? I think that says any. Like with a capital A. No, it's ally! It must mean ally. Okay. Ally matters, I guess. Ally being a creature type. If you don't know, it's from like a very specific set, and then they've reused it recently in March of Machines, I think? I don't know. I don't really know my real Magic stuff. Whenever another ally enters the battlefield under your control, you may return target permanent card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. Not super impressive, but I mean, returning cards from your graveyard to your hand is relevant. Does it have to be a creature? It's any permanent card. Interesting. So in a set with enchantments, could be relevant. Especially some enchantments that are like auras, for example. You throw an aura on something, that thing dies, you want to bring it back to your hand. Okay, this seems useful. I don't know if it's good enough to be 2 colored pips, but not a huge drawback either. The Shardlings called it the Crossroads, a nexus where ancient histories intersected. In their version, the grandmother's spirit became frozen in the snow. At the moment, the secret they guarded was lost to the wild. Alright. Yes, that's some decent lore. Ooh, yes. Anyone who's interested in the lore of the set, that's a nugget for all of you. Reverent Admirer is a 3-mana green instant. Look at target non-creature, non-land permanent on the battlefield. Look at it! It gets +2/+2 until end of turn for each creature you control. I mean, that's very good. It's just really funny templating. I do really enjoy it when the AI, does, it makes a perfectly functional card, but it's set in such a weird way. That's some of my favorite, because I get it. When AI Magic started, way back, it was just a joke. It was look at this stupid card that doesn't mean anything. And I love that Urza's AI can create these cards that function, but it's nice when they still, tap into the roots of the genre and still make some wild stuff without sacrificing playability. That's cool. It's probably too strong. I love it. It's great. Your arrival has surely brought tears to many eyes, and yet, how much longer must I wait? Yami Inquisitor. Okay, sweet. Look at target card. Dispersing Scourge is a 3-mana green instant. Destroy target non-wall creature. Draw a card. That's pretty good. I mean, it's a murder, unless they're a wall, and it draws you a card. That's excellent. Oh, I love this card. This card's great. If any wizards were able to turn aside its summoning, the end would be nigh for Grixis. I don't know what they're referring to as Dispersing Scourge. That's a great name for a kill spell. I like that a lot. Really, really cool. Ooh. Rise from the Tides is a 4-mana green sorcery. Target player sacrifices 2 islands. That's so Okay. A quake that the chasms spewed from the sea of clouds created an illusion of endless calm, allowing Anye to assume control of the shoreline. That sounds cool. I like the flavor of this card a lot. I don't know why Rising from the Tides destroys the islands, but whatever. Just, there's a lot of flavorful stuff going on here that's very fun. And I think this is kind of a cool design for a land destruction. It being a specific, if it was just like 2 basic lands or something, cool, I'd be kind of into this. I still wouldn't use it because I've put a blanket rule on the set to not do land destruction, which I've broken multiple times, but let's ignore that. So, no, but it's a cool design for land destruction. 4 mana, but you get 2, your opponent has to sacrifice them, which I guess could be relevant in that, like, if you had a Triome island and you had a basic island, you could sacrifice the basic island. Like, that's kind of cute. Of course, if it was just destroys target basic, like sacrifices 2 basics, then if they were playing multicolor, they could decide which basics they want to get rid of. Like, I think that's actually kind of a fun design for land destruction. Oh well. We should re-roll this one. Rise of the Vampires is a 4-mana green sorcery. Destroy target creature. You gain life equal to its toughness. Alright! It's a 4-mana kill spell at sorcery speed, but you get to heal. Alright! Only a sick and evil soul would waste such power for a purpose so unworthy. Master of the Depths. And we've seen before in this block that life gain payoff exists. Maybe we'll see some life gain payoff in green. There's way more life gain than payoff, but that's okay, you know. Anyway, Rise of the Vampires really sounds like this is gonna like summon some vampires or something, and it just does like a vampiric effect, like you kill a thing and you heal. But I'm into it. I hope we see some green vampires to fit with the if Rise of the Vampires is like a set piece scene, like that's a thing that Magic does, right? Where it's like, this happened in the story. Here's a sorcery that represents that thing that happened. It means I want to see some vampires in green. Like, come on. Green vampires are cool. You don't see them that often. But, like, we saw green vampires in Witherbloom in Strixhaven, right? Like, black-green vampires. Yeah. Yeah, there's some cool stuff there. Cool. Oh, speaking of black-green, Rot Farming is a 5-mana green enchantment. When you cast this spell, you may sacrifice any number of land cards. That's a weird way of wording it. I'm going to allow it. The idea that you're sacrificing land cards, like, weird wording, but whatever. Sacrifice any number of lands. If you do, draw cards equal to the sacrificed card's mana value. Well, that doesn't work now, does it? Lands have mana value 0. This could have been kind of interesting. When you cast this spell, sacrifice lands, draw cards based on the sacrifice lands. You probably wouldn't want to do that, especially at 5 mana like casting time. But that's kind of fun. There's something there. It just didn't land. Didn't have any, like, has no payoff. Not even enough of any payoff. Praetor McKindy likes to joke about how much more effort it takes to create land as he plots his next heist. What? Infernal Ruin is a 5-mana green enchantment. Whenever you gain life, draw a card. Okay! I mean, we were asking for some life gain payoff. That is scary. That could be so many cards, but I mean, 5 mana do nothing. Yeah, okay. If this would have like a 5/5 body on top, I'd be like, ooh, that is a lot. But it's just an enchantment. It doesn't have a body. Now that means you also can't kill it. But there's like enchantment removal in this set. At least I hope there's enchantment removal in this set. It is very possible that no enchantment removal got created. Now that I think about it. Well, hope that didn't happen. Breathe in the air of Vantress. Look around. Who knows what treasures lie hidden here? Rumors of the Citadel. Poetry collection. Nice. Tajuru Trilobite is a 4-mana, green, 3/2 enchantment creature elemental. For green and sacrifice Tajuru Trilobite, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. 4-mana, 3/2. You can spend a green and sacrifice it to buff something else. No. I mean, okay, let's think about this. I don't want to just... we've actually rerolled very little today, which is awesome. I feel like I've been rerolling more and more as the game goes on, but like... Okay, this isn't very strong, but would you possibly run this? Can you imagine a situation where you run this? And I think maybe, right? Especially if we care about sacrifice. If sacrifice synergy exists in green, like, okay, you spend 4, you get a 3/2, it's not very good. When it's about to die, you spend green and sacrifice it to put a counter on something else. That is instant speed. That might save the thing that, like, the other thing, maybe. I'm going to keep it. It's not super strong, but I think that it could show up in limited, so it's worth having in the set. There's always another chance. Koloth, Black Blade of Mercus. Cool. Ooh. It's a fun name. Liminality is a 1-mana green enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has Shroud. Can't be the target of spells or abilities. For 4 mana, return Liminality to its owner's hand. What a beautiful card. What a beautiful card. Yeah, throw this down on something, can't be targeted. Again, we've talked about this in the past, like, it's really cool seeing Shroud showing up in this set. I'm going to be honest, I think Shroud is a cooler mechanic than Hexproof. Hexproof always feels super bad to play against. And Shroud's going to feel bad too, don't get me wrong, but it comes with some downside. If my thing has Shroud, I can't target it with stuff. Oh, that's really interesting actually. Likewise though, because this is a, target creature, it doesn't have to be yours, you could also play it on your opponent's thing so that they couldn't do something. I don't know if that would ever come up, but it's interesting to think about that maybe you want to shut something down. Like, what if I cast like a pacifism on your guy and then I also cast liminality? That sounds like a lot of that sounds pretty expensive to shut down a creature, but you get my point. Like, I don't know. I like the flexibility, it's cool. And then, as we're seeing here, if we have the mana open, we can spend 4 to bounce this back to our hand so we can put it onto something different, or get it instead of it dying or something. It's just a nice little perk that you're probably not going to have enough mana to ever use, but that's okay. It's a 1-mana spell. To reach the final destination, you must leave the home in which you were born. Ileana, Duelist of Tlh. What does that say? It looks like TLHA with an umlaut. And the T's not capitalized. Tlh. I don't know what that is. I like it, though. That's great. Dramoka's Ankle Breakers. Yeah! Dramoka's Ankle Breakers are a 2-mana, 3/3 elephant. Dramoka's Ankle Breakers can't block. This card's awesome. I mean, honestly, if they just printed a 2-mana, 3/3 vanilla, I'd be like, that's great. This is technically worse than that, but I like this card. This card's fun. When the destruction they are set to provoke begins, they vanish. Aw, it's a shame it doesn't have any card about, ability about vanishing. That would have been really good. Oh well. That's great. I love that. That's excellent. Kulfanor. Kulfanor Ancestral Hunger is a 6-mana, 6/6 enchantment creature nymph. Ooh. So Kulfanor, I know, is a legendary character from Magic the Gathering. Really important to specific, lore plot lines. I know they existed in the lore before they ever had a card, that kind of thing. It's that kind of character. They do have a card now. But That's cool. This, of course, is not a legendary character, but I should say Kolfenor is a tree folk, tree person. So making them a nymph is kind of cool. And the idea that this is not like legendary. This is like, maybe this is, it's like an aspect of Kolfenor. This is not the tree folk Kolfenor. This is the nymph born of them that is their ancestral hunger taken form or something. And there's a whole bunch of these. I don't know. I buy it. I think it works. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a green or white creature, which you will because this is a green creature, Kolfenor Ancestral Hunger deals 2 damage to any target. This card's great. This card's excellent. It's a 6 mana 6/6 that deals 2 damage to a creature every. Is your upkeep? So yeah, only on your turns, but still pretty good. I'm sure it's not overpowered at all. It's probably a little weak for a 6 mana spell, but the AI is not good at 6 mana and higher spells, and also it's not bad. It's perfectly fine. The only thing I think about it is that it should be something like Kolfenor's Ancestral Hunger, right? Like sort of like you'll see that sometimes where there is a legendary creature and then they use that creature's name with like an apostrophe and then like Enforcer or something. Or like we actually saw with Dromoka's Ankle Breakers, right? Like, yeah, totally. They killed our clan to please their lord. That's what they did to our clan. But now we've slain him too. Kolfenor, Keeper of Jadame's Horde. Alright, Kolfenor Ancestral Hunger. It is a hunger for vengeance, apparently. Very good. Sky March Worm is a 5 mana 5/4 worm. I do love worms. It has vigilance, and creatures you control have vigilance. Okay. Yeah, cool. 5 mana 5/4. Buffs your entire team with vigilance. That sounds great. I know we saw another card that gave everything vigilance, and I think it was way more, like way worse costed than this. So, this is just better, but hey, I'm okay with that. I think it's a cool effect. If the coast were a wee bit shorter, a monster in the mist would see only a couple of feet of snow between itself and its dinner. That's something we should remember, is that this is kind of, a lot of what we've seen of this set has been very, like, frozen, cold, wasteland kind of thing, right? We started with Gods of Winter, then we went to the Lords of the Rime, and now we're in the Praetors of Enchanted Ice. So, a lot of ice themes, and even though these the picture here of a bright green card with no Arctic accoutrement is easy to forget that likely this Sky March worm is trudging through snow. See only a couple of feet of snow between itself and its dinner. Alright, cool. Shadowmoor Hydra is a 6 mana star enchantment creature Phyrexian construct, it looks like. Kind of a shame. It's not like it's an artifact, but it is a construct. That's a little weird. Although I do like the idea of like a construct which is an arcane construct, so it's like an enchantment creature. That actually makes sense to me. Also, of course, its name has Hydra in it, so you'd think that it would also be a Hydra. And maybe it is a Hydra. We don't know. The type line is cut off. I've mentioned before in this series that I'm allowing type lines to be cut off where I normally wouldn't, just because finagling with the enchantment creature and having a lot of text space left, it's just a sacrifice I'm willing to make. But something I brought up in a previous video is the idea that you could look at AI cards as if they are these sort of old school printing of cards that haven't been errataed yet. And if you were to errata this card, they would add Hydra to it, likely, right? Like, if we look at all the old cards that just before type lines were standardized, yeah, if you have a creature type in your name, you just get it, like, every single time if we look back at the old Oracle texts. Oracle just being the official version of texts, regardless of what's printed on the card, according to Wizards. So, yeah, likely you could argue this is a Phyrexian Construct Hydra, but for our purposes, it's not. Shadowmoor Hydra's power and toughness are each equal to the number of snow lands you control. Creatures you control have flying. Oh no. Oh, this thing's terrifying. I mean, there's actually a decent number of ways of giving your entire board flying, so maybe it's not that bad. I think every color might have a way of doing that, which... Awesome. Now, one color is not going to get completely trampled in the sky. But, still scary every time I see it. I like this. It's a Hydra, it gets bigger, it's Phyrexian, that's cool. It's like a Phyrexian thing it's like an arcane construct with Phyrexian influence or made by Phyrexians. That's interesting. I don't know, I'm into this. I think it's cool. And it gets bigger based on your snowlands. We are going to put snowlands in the set, so that's going to happen. This is probably at minimum a 6/6 with flying, plus everything else you have is flying. That's gross. So yeah, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to allow it. This is AI Magic. The cutoff for too powerful is unknown and arbitrary. With such thick, creaking bones, this Hydra would have a great resistance to pressure. That reads like some scientist's notes. Like, oh yes, yes, the Phyrexians are studying the Hydras of this plane and realizing that they could, I don't know, harness them and add Phyrexian technology to them to make them something else. Into a Shadowmoor Hydra, I guess. Wild. 10th Pleadings. 10th Pleadings is a 6-mana 4/4 green elephant. When 10th Pleadings enters the battlefield, each opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it and exile it. So it's a 6-mana 4/4 that forces your opponent to discard something. Not great. It has a restriction on what you can have them discard because it has to be a non-land, which really shouldn't be a big deal. At turn 6, you probably you want to be hitting something other than a land anyway, so whatever. As much as it's cool to see an elephant, I think I'm re-rolling this. It's not interesting enough. It might get play. It doesn't even help the discard deck, though, because there is a discard deck, but A, it's not in green, and B, this exiles, which is... I think it's the same, actually. I don't think there's any, your opponent discards payoff, so discarding their hand or exiling their hand is kind of the same thing, so probably irrelevant now that I think about it, but... I don't know. It doesn't work for me. Also, 10th Pleadings is hard to say, and I don't like it. The Sakura traces preserve memories of their brethren, some of which may still linger. Cool. Daughter of Arcaz is a 6-mana 3/4 human cleric. Whenever Daughter of Arcaz or another non-token creature you control dies, draw a card. That's pretty good card draw. Not a huge body, but I don't know. You spend 6, you throw this down as a 3/4, you sacrifice your board to a bunch of onboard effects that are gonna be helpful for you. Draw a bunch of cards, you're back in the game, maybe. I think you're willing to do this. I think it's a strong enough effect. She and her acolytes learned to fight by watching the legends of Urza's armies. Okay. Their teachers dead and gone, their memory long since obscured by the unceasing conflict. Yeah, I guess Urza has to be involved somehow. I can't be that upset about that. Swift Saber is a 3-mana green sorcery. Swift Saber deals 4 damage to target creature. If you control a plains or an island, that creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. Now, I'm not 100% sure, because this is one effect, right? It's like you cast the spell, it does everything on the spell. Would it take 4 damage and then get the +4 toughness, even if it would have died? Or does it die immediately before the +4 toughness comes through? I think it would die immediately, although I'm not sure. Which makes me think this card would be really interesting if it was done the other way around, where it says it's kind of got two modes. It's either a kill spell for 3 mana, which you don't really need. We just generated 2 very, very strong kill spells in green, so maybe I'll just get rid of it on that grounds. Or you can pump something +4 attack. Not any +4 toughness, though, because it's all the 4 damage on here is what's soaking that toughness, so it doesn't matter. But that's interesting. The thing is, it's not really 2 modes, because you don't get to decide whether or not you have a plains or island. Like, it's basically 2 modes, but you have to decide which mode you want when you put it in your deck, which just sort of defeats the whole point. I don't know. It doesn't seem good. The bridge extends as far as the blade. Swift Saber was a decent name for a sorcery, though. Although, it's Swift. You'd think it would be an instant. Fireheart Enforcer, sounds like a creature, is a 3-mana green sorcery. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control, meaning each deals damage equal to their power to the other. Then draw a card. So sometimes fighting can activate your effects, like if you have an enrage effect, right, when this creature takes damage. A fight might be more valuable to you than a kill spell, right? That's the problem with the Fireheart Enforcer, is it needs to compete with those really strong kill spells we already made. Now this does draw a card, that's cool, but is the fight effect relevant? Because if not, this just doesn't get played. It's sorcery speed, it doesn't straight up kill something. And the fact that you have to have it fight a creature you don't control is potentially not good. Just in the fact that sometimes you do want those weird enrage triggers. There should be more target creature you don't control fights target creature you don't control. Fighting among opponents is a thing that, I don't know if that's a thing that exists in Magic or not, but I think there's space for it and it should exist. You're mine now. Now we're going to try that again. War Hymn. That's a beautiful name for a spell. War Hymn is a 3-mana green sorcery. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. You gain 2 life. Reminder text. It deals combat damage to a player this turn if you control a creature with the most life. What part of this card means that? It deals combat damage to a player this turn if you control a creature with the most life. Because creatures don't actually have life, they have toughness, so it's not relevant anyway. Okay, I'm going to ignore that. Is 3 mana, give something +2/+2, and you gain 2 life, good. If it was an instant, I think this would be a decent spell. It's a cute little combat trick. It gives you 2 life, which could trigger any sort of life gain payoff that you might have that might also help you in combat and during the combat step. Like, yeah, that would be cute. As a sorcery speed? No, I don't think so. A young creature speaks with a voice as deep as a shaman's drum. Traverse the Ulvenwald. I don't remember what Ulvenwald is. It's some location in Magic. I don't know. Is a 3-mana green sorcery. Reveal the top card of your library. You may put that card into your hand. Reminder text. To view the card, enter the revealed card's card type. Okay. Yeah, it's getting a little weird today. It was as much an invitation as a command. I mean, this is just 3 mana draw 1. It's bad, so it's worse than draw 1 because you reveal it to what you're drawing to your opponent. Branching Evolution. Is that a real spell? That sounds familiar. Branching Evolution is a 3-mana green sorcery. Destroy target creature with flying. Create 2 1/1 green sapling creature tokens. Now this is something I like. It's not that amazing. It's a sorcery speed kill spell that can only hit flies, but there's a lot of flying in this set. Flying hate is something I think the set should have more of. Now that said, if this was a 3-mana kill any creature, create 2 1/1s, I'd also be like, that's good enough. So it's not like the fact that it only hits flying is making this card stronger. It's not like they're like, well, because of that restriction, we're going to make the card 1 mana or something. If this was like 1 mana, that'd be really cool. I think that'd be really, really interesting if this was a one mana spell. I'm still going to accept it. I think it's fun. I think like token generation is actually really good. So yeah, probably a lot of decks are going to want this actually, because there's a lot of stuff that keys off of your own creatures dying. Although they are tokens, and there was that one we just made that only cared about non-tokens dying, so oh well. The ice has crumbled, and the city has risen once again. Oh, something's happening. Oh, the saprolings. Growth is coming back to the world. I guess. I don't know. Last Chance of Wrath. That sounds like a pun. I don't know if it is or not, but it's cute. Last Chance of Wrath is a 4-mana green enchantment aura. Enchant Land. Enchanted Land is a 5/5 blue giant creature with hexproof. It's still a land. Yeah. Okay. No, I like this actually. 4 mana, make a 5/5 with hexproof. That's not exactly what this is saying. It's kind of like saying make a 5/5 with hexproof and sacrifice a land. But this 5/5 giant with hexproof can also tap to make green, I guess, but whatever, or whatever the land was. I like this. I think this card's really fun. It's not busted by any means, but it's cool. Hexproof is strong. It's a blue giant for some reason. In life, I always fought to be the strongest. Now I fight to hold on to the past. Aw. Oops. Well, apparently my mouse has decided that we're moving on. Alright, let's move on. Blind Phantasm is a 1-mana green instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Untap it. Okay, that's cute. That's cute. This might be an existing spell that already exists, but yeah, it's 1 mana. It pumps something for 2. If you wanted to block, you could be like, I have no blockers, and then you block and also like favorably, don't even trade necessarily. You just like survive something and kill their stuff. Yeah, beautiful. Nothing super interesting, but a nice card to have in a set. Something I always remember, I need to remind myself is we're making a set. You got to have some cards that are just kind of staples. I'll tell you a secret. Okay, what does that mean? Ooh. Praetor of Seasons is a 5-mana, 6/6 green avatar. When Praetor of Seasons or another non-human creature you control dies, return it to the battlefield, transformed under its owner's control. Okay. This card is really good. Not only, okay, so I do want to talk for a bit, because I've been looking at some real Magic recently, and I've been like, oh, it'd be really nice if I could transform this card without needing to go through the really annoying hoops to transform it. Does anything like that exist? And there's, 1 card or something. There's just, not many that do that, and even then, they're, very limiting use cases. So this is a really cool idea of having an alternate way of transforming stuff, because you died around Praetor of Seasons. That said, if I'm not mistaken, the way this works is that it would return, it would have no backside, it would just stay returned. So this just means whenever Praetor of Seasons or another non-human creature you control dies, returned to the battlefield under its owner's control. So it just comes back. Now, there's a few reasons why this is, not gonna work. I think if this card had a back, this card would be really cool. Because the back could do something, right? It would no longer have this text. So you kill it once, it comes back on its backside. The backside has some other special effect that does something cool, or does something weak maybe even. Maybe it's a downside. I don't know, right? But then it would stop the chain. It wouldn't go forever, right? Likewise, even if we ignore the fact that this can bring itself back infinitely, which is maybe not a thing we want in this set, I don't know, you decide. But even if we just look at the other pieces, those pieces are coming back instantaneously. So if you have a free sack outlet, you could do it an infinite number of times. Now, we already have other cards in the set that let you do things infinite number of times like that. Things that, when this dies, make a token. When that token dies, make a token. And so it's never expanding, but it is always replacing itself. So you could sack infinitely off something like that, assuming it doesn't care if you're sacrificing a non-token, for example. But here, it would be killing... It wouldn't be a non-token, right? Like that other card that we saw before that cares about when non-tokens dies, draw a card. You could infinitely sacrifice a non-token, and it comes back every time. And you would just go infinite. So, maybe not good. So if this said something like they come back at the beginning of the next end step or something, that'd be really cool. It would balance the card in a way that would still be strong, I think. And yeah, I think that'd be cool. This card really needs a back, though. Really needs a back. It's just interesting. What would I put on the back of this card? If I was designing this card, what would I put in the back? Either it comes back as just like a stupid, like, I don't know, 10/10 trample, like with no other text or something. Like just some big dumb body. That would be fun. It might come back as an enchantment, actually. That would be really interesting. Some just like static effect that just lasts for the rest of the game. That'd be cool. Maybe it's the same text or something. Right? It's just like, you kill it once, it comes back as an enchantment that has the same text, and then next time you remove it, that doesn't count as it dying, it's not a creature, right? It wouldn't care about itself at that point, it would only care about others. And, of course, we change the text to say something like, at the beginning of the next end step, or the beginning of your next upkeep, or whatever it happens to be. I think that's what I would do with the card, probably. Yeah. Or do something stupid and weird and thematic that I don't know about, because, Underneath this colossus lies a young titan who survived the autumn chill to return to its rightful place. Temujin of the Eternals. Okay. Well, I have to re-roll it. As much as I enjoyed discussing that card and think it could go somewhere interesting, it doesn't actually work as written. Toxic Scorpion is a 5-mana, 5/5 green insect with Death Touch. That makes sense. At the beginning of your upkeep, Toxic Scorpion deals X damage to you, where X is the number of mountains you control. What? Okay. 5-mana, 5/5 with Death Touch. I feel like once you get to become like a big creature, Death Touch becomes less valuable, because you're already big. And don't get me wrong. If my 5/5 has to chump block an 8/8, I'm gonna be glad that it kills it, but I'm also gonna wish that I chump blocked it with a 1/1 with Death Touch, you know? So, And then this has the downside of punching you in the face per number of mountains you control. Now, that's kind of cute. I like the idea of a card that's like, you're not supposed to put this in a green-red deck, and if you do, it's gonna punish you for doing so. But why? Like, why does it care? And also, why does it need to punish me for putting it in a red deck? Like, it's not that good. It holds up an image of death in its hand. Yeah, I think we're going to try this one again. Although, honestly, not bad, like, big creatures. We've had problems with them in the past, but, ooh, another Centaur Druid. Clogan Druid, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, is a 5-mana 4/3 Centaur Druid. You may exert Clogan Druid as it attacks. When you do, it gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Ooh. Now, I'm surprised there's no reminder text for exert. Exert is a real keyword in Magic. It means if you choose to exert it, it does not untap during the next untap step. It does still untap eventually. It just takes 2 steps, or you need to have another way of untapping it. So, cool. I like it. That's fun. It's weird that this gets a bonus based on artifacts. It's just very undruid-like. If it was like enchantments or something, this would be a much more interesting flavorfully. And probably more interesting because there's way more enchantments in the set than artifacts. Although there are some. On the other hand, it's also kind of just like not that interesting. Like, okay, imagine you have like 4, 5, 6. You might have a whole bunch of artifacts because treasures are artifacts, for example. So let's say you have a whole bunch of artifacts. And this becomes, you know, 5-mana 9/8, okay? first of all, it is exerted, so it takes an extra round to untap, so that's not very good. And second of all, it's not like it has trample or anything, right? Like, I guess the thing is that you would only you would bother exerting when you have a clear shot, and like, it's not going to get blocked, but just give it trample. If this just got +X and trample, beautiful little card. Still weird because it's a druid thematically, but yeah, just give it trample. It's a centaur. It should have trample. If I had an alligator, I'd hold it. What? Wait, what? If I had an alligator, I'd hold it in my teeth. If I had a nether portal, I'd strangle it with it. Rise, Cologan. Anyway, I'm gonna re-roll this. I don't like need to. It's not the worst card. It's just like, I don't know. It feels like it's so close that I want to try again. Root Breaker is a 5-mana 4/4 green elemental. It has reach, meaning this creature can block creatures with flying. When Root Breaker enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step for as long as Root Breaker remains on the battlefield. Okay, so it's like a soft jailer effect. Instead of exiling it and then having it come back when it dies, it just taps it down. Which in sometimes is going to be better than an exile, because if something has like a really powerful enter the battlefield effect, but has no onboard effects, you'd rather tap it down than exile it. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Otherwise, it's a 4/4 with reach, which there's a lot of flying in this set. You might need that. I think this card's actually pretty good. Is it better than that card that I already rolled past, the Centaur Druid? Maybe not. But I think maybe it is. Like, it depends on the situation, but I think they both have their cases, and this is not strictly worse. So, yeah, I'm happy with this. Let me be clear. It is far worse to be disobeyed by your progeny than to disobey your progeny. Malfagor. Yeah, you would say that, Malfagor. Silver Birch Monk. No, don't do this to me. Silver Birch Monk is a 3-mana 3/3 enchantment creature elemental. When Silver Birch Monk enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green insect creature token with flying. For 3 mana, sacrifice Silver Birch Monk. You gain 3 life. I actually quite like this card. This card's really cute. It's a 3-mana 3/3, but you also get a 1/1 with flying, which is nice, little upside. And you can spend 3 and sacrifice it to gain life, which is going to oftentimes be relevant in a game that cares about life gain. And also just, hey, 3 health's nice. We made a card that buffs all of your monks. It cared about the monk creature type. This could have been a monk. If this was an elemental monk, this would be so cool. I can picture it too. The silver birch, like birch tree elemental monk thing. I mean, I guess that'd be cool if it was like a nymph, actually. But whatever. Elementals can be anything. They don't need to make any sense. That's cool. One of these days... No, don't say that, Darcy. Don't. It would be really fun to go through a set and, like, oracle everything and make changes to it. Make it like a real custom set that's based off of AI ideas instead of a pure AI set. I don't want to do that. So much work. But, just be a monk. Just be a monk. Okay. Insects do not attack. They do not know the meaning of fear. Soreen Duskwalker. That sounds like a pretty cool elemental monk, if you ask me. Alright. I mean, I'll allow it. It would have been so cool if that was a monk. Haze Titan is a 5-mana star green merfolk shaman. Merfolk are always weird for me. Like, I like merfolk, I think they're cool. And then someone was like, here's a green merfolk, and it was walking around on the trees. It had legs, and it was walking on a tree branch. And I was like, this isn't a merfolk, what are you doing? This is like a sea elf or something. Get out of here. It's not even it's in a tree! Anyway, merfolk are cool, but that should just be something else. Anyway, I get why they did it. I get why... anyway. Haze Titan's power and toughness are each equal to the number of merfolk you control. Oh. I don't know if there's enough merfolk in this set. Honestly, things like this are why I really want to play Constructed with this block. There's so many things that are like, this would be useful if you had 4 copies of me, but otherwise aren't that useful, right? Now, you wouldn't really necessarily want 4 copies of Haze Titan because that's like 5 mana for a 4/4. Anyway, what else does it say? When Haze Titan enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card named Aquamorph. Reveal it, put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle. Huh. So I think Aquamorph is a real card. That sounds familiar. There's no way there's actually a card in this set called Aquamorph, right? I'm going to allow it. I think that's fun. The marina feeds the imagination. The ocean breeze hums a hypnotic song. Actually, let's take a look. I want to see if Aquamorph's a thing. Aquamorph. Is that real? No, it's not. There's Aquamorph Entity. Aquamorph Entity is a 4-mana star shapeshifter. As Aquamorph Entity enters the battlefield, or it is turned face up, it becomes a 5/1 or a 1/5. It can morph 4/3. It's cute. Aquamorph sounds so familiar. Did we make an Aquamorph? That would be wild if that happened. There's no way. Alright, there's no Aquamorph, I just checked. Next. I mean, there might be one that we made, but there's not a real one. That'd be wild if there was, though. Resplendent Spirit is a 4-mana 1/1 spirit with flying. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on Resplendent Spirit. Oh, I don't know if this is fast enough. 4 mana for a 1/1, which grows, and it's going to grow fast. There's so much life gain in this set, but 4 mana. It's got flying, though. Like, I'm thinking about, there's a lot of cards in real Magic that are just small bodies that get a 1/1 counter whenever you gain life. Like, that, we've seen that, and they're really annoying to play against, and I hate them. But giving that thing flying? Okay, yeah, let's go. This is gonna be, okay, I mean, again, I don't know, 4 mana might just be too slow to make it work. But it's got flying. In every breeze, it is the dream of death. Oh yeah, this spirit is so resplendent. Cleansing Ritual is a 4-mana 2/4 Treefolk warrior with protection from black. Okay. It is cycling 4. Discard this card, draw a card. When you cycle Cleansing Ritual, create 2 1/1 green Saproling creature tokens. Huh. Baseline, 4-mana 2/4 protection from black. If you're playing against black, probably pretty good. If you're not playing against black, probably pretty bad. Now, I think this is kind of fun. So, I've talked a lot before about how I don't like protection effects. I don't like land walk, and that's because it feels like you're banking on your deck going up against the right typing for it to be relevant. And you're just going to do really well against one type and really bad against the other type, and that feels weird. I don't know. It just feels weird to me personally, and that's fine. That's one of the reasons why sideboarding exists. You swap it in once you know, hey, I'm playing against black. Game 2, I'll put this in my deck, right? So I get why protection exists. Blah 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 blah. I think this is a really interesting use of protection to say we're gonna bundle protection with cycling, and then you can cycle it away when you're not playing against black. So you could put this in your main deck. You don't have to put it in the sideboard. And that's kind of cool. So the question becomes, is 4 mana, create 2 1/1s and draw a card any good? And I think it is, actually. Bodies are relevant. The fact that you can cycle at instant speed meaning you can do it in response to attacks and then chump block like an 8/8 that they weren't expecting. That's cool. The fact that it draws a card makes up for that. It probably should be like 3 mana for 2/1/1s, I think. Again, I don't really know my comparison points for token generation, but yeah, tokens are good. Sacrificing Outlet, you know, like there's a lot you can do with tokens. I think this card's actually really cool. Weird that it's specifically anti-black, but it's cool. And the fact that its name sounds like a sorcery or an instant, and it most of the time will be an instant spell, not an actual body, that's cool. It is not every day that one can turn evil into good, and good into evil. Barbarian Brewmaster? Barbarian Brewmaster is a 1-mana green 1/1 goblin rogue. Barbarian Brewmaster can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. I wish this card had any flavor to it at all. Like, it has no flavor, but it's begging to have some flavor. It's a Barbarian Brewmaster Goblin Rogue. That sounds great. And it's, you know, it can't be blocked by small things. I think it's a fine card. It just gives you it's a random small body. Every color needs some random small bodies. Sure, why not? I think barbarians are real typing too, so it's weird that this is not like a goblin barbarian, but whatever. I love the idea of a goblin barbarian brewmaster. That's so good though. I would follow you to the end of the world and back. Draco Genius. Yeah, it's like even the flavor text has no flavor. Like, okay, yeah, sure. That's such a generic, bland statement. I mean, the idea that a Draco Genius, which I think is a term taken from, is it? Niv Mizzet's a Draco Genius? Is that right? I don't remember. But presumably some very intelligent dragon is going to follow this barbarian brewmaster to the end of the world and back. I mean, there's something there. There's a story there, I guess, but it doesn't give you much to work with. Mystical Dispute is a 3-mana green sorcery. Target opponent chooses up to 1. Mystical Dispute deals 2 damage to that player. The opponent chooses? Oh, that's cool. Have they ever done that in Magic? Oh, that's cool. Huh. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this is a useless card, because it's literally just 3 mana, deal 2 damage to your opponent, right? Like, there's no time they're ever going to choose any other mode. It's kind of pointless. I guess maybe you could do some shenanigans with it in Commander if you're like, hey, do you want to resurrect my big thing so I can kill your enemy? Ha ha ha. I don't think that's ever going to work. I think that's stupid. So this is just three mana, deal 2 damage to a player. It's bad. It's a cool, like, concept, though. I like the idea of target opponent choosing one of the modes. I wonder how it works, though, right? Like, if my opponent chooses return target creature card from the graveyard to the battlefield, I assume they choose that, and then I still, like, resolve the effect. They just chose which effect I'm resolving. So then I'm still making the target, I would assume. That's cool. Also, I mean, like, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe it fully gives the concept to the opponent, and they get to cheat out a big thing from their graveyard. I don't expect that's how it would work, but I've never seen this, like, templating for a card before, so I'm into it. Rushing out of the flames was a nightmare I could not escape. I would have perished if not for your generosity. Caro, a Crowan Bishop. Okay, we're trying that again. That's not it. Frosted Scepter. Ooh. Frosted Scepter is a 3-mana green sorcery. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a land card. Okay. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This card's bad. It could just say search your library for a land. I guess it's even worse than that because you don't get to decide what land you're searching for. And it doesn't even like they put stuff in the graveyard. Like if this put stuff in your graveyard, worth it because that's a resource that you can use, especially in green. But what the heck is this? It's far from safe to touch a tree once it has been cut down. All right. Frosted Cliffs. Okay. You're getting kind of one note here. 3 mana for a green sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Ah! It keeps happening. I mean, okay, so this searches. It has to be basic, but it goes directly into the battlefield, so it's ramp. I need to figure out what the actual going rate for ramp is. I think this is probably fine. It's probably not the best ramp, but it's probably ramp that I can see this ramp existing in Magic where they're like, no, this set we want to give you a weaker ramp card for the limited experience. Sorry, we don't want to give you a better ramp card. We know how like functional reprints work. They're bad. We don't want you to have 8 of this card. So here's a worse version. Like, I don't know. It seems fine. As I gaze upon these ancient lands, I am reminded of how little I understand them. Oh no, my headphones fell off. Okay, we're back. This card's fine. It's whatever. I think we've seen more powerful ramp spells in not green already, but I'd much rather this be the best green ramp spell we see than green get no ramp. That would be weird. So, yeah, I'm fine with it. And if they end up with, like, multiple ramp spells, I'm okay with one better than this, too. That's okay. It just means there's multiple different ramp spells you could run. In limited. Cool. I'm into that. That's fun. With varying levels of effectiveness. Frost Shrieker Ascendant is a 2-mana, 2/2 human wizard. Whenever Frost Shrieker Ascendant deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 green insect creature token with flying. Ooh. We're seeing 1/1 green insect creature tokens with flying again. Very rarely do you see, like, the same token used multiple times. Every card in this set just makes a random different token. For 2 mana, sacrifice Frost Shrieker Ascendant. Frost Shrieker Ascendant deals 1 damage to any target. Does this only care about combat damage? Oh, it does. This would be cute if it didn't care only about combat damage, because then it would actually summon an insect when it died. That'd be kind of fun. Or like when you sacrificed it. That would have been fun. But still cool. It's a 2-mana 2/2 that makes a flyer every time you would like hit with it. I think that's great. I like this spell a lot. Frost Shrieker Ascendant, the human wizard. I take my orders from ice and fire, and those who take theirs from neither. It is like kind of a weird flavor thing though, huh? Like it feels like it's like a fire mage or like in red or like an ice mage in blue. And it's like, no, I make insects, which does feel very green. It's just like, why are you a Frost Shrieker Ascendant? I don't know what's up with that. Whatever. Atarka's Ritual is a 2-mana green instant. Choose one. Create a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token, or put 2 1/1 counters on target creature. Huh. So this isn't, like, good, but it's got modes. So, even if each mode is worse than what you'd expect it to be on a card, the fact that you have flexibility is an upside. Would I pay 2 mana for a 1/1 flash creature? Probably not, but is that useful sometimes? Yeah. Would I spend 2 mana to put 2 1/1 counters on a creature? That's sometimes better than a Grizzly Bear. Grizzly Bear being like a 2-mana 2/2 with no other text. Sometimes that's more useful because you make your 4/4 into a 6/6, and also it's happening at instant speed. I like that, actually. I like being able to put counters on things at instant speed. It's like a pump spell that lasts. It's great. So, I've got a 4/4, you've got a 4/4, you attack, I block, I put 2/1/1 counters on it, now it's a 6/6. That's better than just having a 2/2, right? So, cool. I like that. I think this is a good spell, actually. I think this kind of spell's perfectly fine. I like it. The most common occupation in Atarka's city is summoning the golems that dot the street and crisscross the snowfields. Okay, I want to know about Atarka. So, Atarka sounds like some kind of wizard who runs a city, and part of their city initiatives are employing people to summon golems. Alright. Yeah, sure. Wait, but this makes an Eldrazi Scion. If this made a golem, that would be a flavor win, I think. But instead, are there Eldrazi here now? Has there been any Eldrazi up till this point? I'm legitimately unsure. Oh well. They're here now, I guess. Are they Eldrazi golems? That's why they were summoned, not made? Oh. Akum Hellfire is a 2-mana, 1... Where'd that come from? Is a 2-mana instant. You may choose not to untap your target creature this turn. Okay. If you do, it becomes a red elemental creature with base power and toughness 3/3. Okay. What? What? So, the way I'm reading this is like you cast it at instant speed and then it doesn't untap that turn. But, like, I don't think you can cast this before untap, right? Like, if I'm not mistaken, your turn begins, you untap everything, and then you have the first window you're allowed to cast spells during the beginning of your upkeep, right? That's my understanding of the phases in Magic. So you couldn't say, we move to untap, I cast Akum Hellfire on my 1/1. It doesn't untap, and since it doesn't untap, it becomes a red elemental creature with base power and toughness 3/3. If you cast it any other time, you may choose not to untap your target creature this turn. Does that mean, like, if I had an effect that would untap it, I could choose not to? Like this, huh. Okay, no, I'm actually reading this differently. This says, target creature, whenever target creature would untap this turn, you may choose to not untap it. Now that actually might have relevance. Like, I don't know if there's any spells that are like, untap target creature, and that's bad for it. You wanted it to be tapped or something, right? Like, maybe something gets a bonus as long as it's tapped and your opponent is going to untap your creature to break that bonus or something stupid like that. Like, I don't know, maybe. The idea that you could say no whenever it would be untapped, that's interesting. I don't know, I just think that's interesting. I don't know what you do with that, but it's interesting. And then it becomes a 3/3. Which, that part's not until end of turn. That just happens. So you can level up your 1/1 to do a 3/3. That's pretty weak. Like, just put some counters on it if that's what you wanted to do. I'm gonna reroll this, but I don't know. It interests me, but I don't see it. When a wielder wields the fuse with an extra E, he sees it as a lantern to guide his path to darkness. The lantern guides the path to darkness. That's kind of true. I mean, where do you use a lantern other than darkness? Magma Spray, a perfect name for a green spell, is a 2-mana green instant. Untap target creature. Magma Spray deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. This card's useless. The lake took a little more than it was given. I mean, there's something interesting here. Like, the fact that you could use this to do the last point of damage to someone is just really funny to me. It's like using a spell to be like, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life, and you target your opponent and you kill them. Like, I just always find that really cute. So, like, there's a cuteness to this, but, like, this is just 2 mana untap something. Eh. The lake took little more than it was given. I don't remember if I read that or not. I might have. Flowstone Deflector is a 2-mana green instant. Flowstone Deflector deals 2 damage to target creature. If you control a plains, you may flip up to 2 cards. Okay. So flipping, I believe, it's kind of like Proto-Transform when they were first trying it back in, like, I think original Kamigawa, where you'd rotate it and the other half of the card would become in effect. It would be active. And for some reason, that term was flip, where there was already another effect called, like, turn face down, which meant a different thing. I don't know. Magic's wild. Deal 2 damage to target creature. If you control planes, you flip 2 cards. This does 2 damage to target creature. The flip's not effect's not going to be relevant. It's always interesting when there's like, ooh, maybe a flip thing will be relevant. It's not, so whatever. The sap found in the heartwood of gnarled vines imbues them with tremendous power. Let's move on. Revealing Light is a 2-mana green instant. Revealing Light deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, where X is the number of white permanents you control. Huh. Only works in green-white. I don't care about this. Let us live in light. Let us be blessed by it. Eladamri, untouched by shadow. Oh yeah, I guess they would like to hang out in the light. That makes sense. It's all they've ever known. Wildest Dreams. That is a beautiful name for a green spell. Oh! Wildest Dreams is a 2-mana green instant that says, create a 3/3 green insect creature token. Ooh, I like that. We've seen these like 1/1 insect tokens that fly, but this insect got too big. It's a 3/3 now. It can't fly anymore. It also has Threshold, which means as long as 7 or more cards are in your graveyard, that's true. I believe that's actually what Threshold means, if you were curious. In real Magic, it's not just a thing they're making up. Creatures you control get +2/+2 and have trample. Ah, crap. If this just said until end of turn, this card would be... Well, this card would probably be too strong and I'd probably re-roll it anyway. But... this is like... It's so close. I mean, it's not technically worded wrong, right? Threshold would mean as long as there are 7 or more in fan, when you cast this, get this additional effect. And the effect is, creatures you control get +2/+2 and have trample. And that, even though it sounds like a static effect, yeah, you could have a spell that does that. You wouldn't, but you could, I guess. It just has no end time stated. This card's cool. Geth used the tools he made to build the Thronhold. It's a great name. But its halls are only open to those with courage to endure its horrors. Goodbye, Wildest Dreams. Downright Diversion is a 2-mana green instant. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. This is just that other card again, but I think that one was 3 mana, and it wasn't tapped, and this one's 2 mana, and it is tapped, making them basically the same spell, which is kind of cool, I guess? How many ramp spells do I want in green? I'm kind of okay with having just a bunch of very similar ramp spells in green. I know that's kind of stupid, but like... Yeah, okay. Green, you deserve some ramp spells. Here's a bunch to choose from. I don't know. That's weird. Let's leave some trace of ourselves in the game. Tezzeret. Also, I'm just tired of making an instant, so let's move on. Whoa! That was a little fast. Krovakon Bridge Mage. Oh, bridges are supposed to be relevant to the set, but have not been relevant much. Cool. Krovakon Bridge Mage is a 3-mana 2/2 green enchantment creature spirit. It has flying. When Krovakon Bridge Mage enters the battlefield, if you control an enchantment, will it see itself Yeah, when it enters, so it's already entered at that point. Yeah, it'll see itself. Create a 2/2 black spirit creature token with flying. This is a 3 mana 2/2 with flying that makes another 2/2 with flying. This card is good. I'm okay with this. It's just really good. The farther they go, the less they understand of the ice that surrounds them. That's great. I love that. Frost Storm is a 2 mana green aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+2. When Frost Storm is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return Frost Storm to its owner's hand. It's Rancor. I'm a MTG dummy and don't really know what Rancor actually, like, statistically is, so I want to take a look at that and see how it compares. Rancor. Rancor is a 1 mana green enchantment that says enchanted creature gets +2/+0 and has trample. Oh, it gives it trample. When Rancor is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return Rancor to its owner's hand. So this is 2 mana instead of 1 mana. This gives +1/+2 instead of +2/+0, and it doesn't give it trample. Yeah, okay. I'm okay with that. It's not as good, but Rancor's already, like, very well known as being a pushed card, so okay. A thin and ancient boundary demarcates the limit of the world. Yeah, that makes sense. Darkling Locust is a 4 mana 3/3 green insect. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 3 life. At the beginning of your end step, you gain 3 life. This card is awesome. What? Oh, I love this. I don't think it does not need to be 4 mana. At all. At all. This should be 3 mana at most, but it's cute. It triggers all of your life gain effects without actually gaining you any life. I just think that's fun. I think that's a fun little thing. Now, for 4 mana 3/3, it should probably just actually gain you life. I also love the name Darkling Locust. I think that's a great name. So I just gotta decide, am I okay with this? Do I want to keep this card? The blaze of returning sunsets and the freezing wind of breaking ice. This would be really cool as like a 1/1 for 1 or something. Do I think I can do better? I think I can do better. Let's give it a shot. Ursavus Winter Watcher is a 4 mana 2/3 beast. As long as you control a snow permanent, Ursavus Winter Watcher gets +2/+2 and has vigilance. So this is a 4 mana 4/5 with vigilance. Is that good enough? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'd run that. I don't know. It's not interesting though, and maybe it doesn't need to be. I guess I just want it to be because this is the last green spell. A cold winter wind fills the valley as the elk seek a new winter camp. I think this is fine. It's not the most exciting note to end on, but I think this is fine. And I think we made good enough time that we actually get to keep going, which is exciting. Into our multicolor spells. Woo! Oh, look at that beautiful gold. I love that gold. It's so good. Garruk, Primal Hunter, is a 5 mana. 5 mana green and white legendary planeswalker, Garruk. It has some reminder text. They deal excess combat damage before creatures without trample. They also have a +1 ability. Creatures you control gain menace until end of turn. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. They have a bunch of flavor texts cut off. I'm going to do my best, but I think it's obvious that we're rerolling this. It doesn't even have loyalty. I have seen the devourers of the wilds in the dreams of the ignorant. I've seen them lying in the streets, squirming in the gutters, and I've seen them in the eyes of those who would've, but didn't. Garruk, Primal Hunter. So, we're moving into colorless, not colorless, multicolor, and yeah, there's a planeswalker, which is exciting. We kept seeing cards that cared about, that were like target creature or planeswalker, and honestly, I do not remember if any of those made it into the set or not. Maybe it would have been nice. I wasn't actually sure if there was going to be any planeswalkers, although I think there was planeswalkers already in the block, but you know, I'm still kind of interested in the set itself. I should probably have had that been re-rolling while I was going on, huh? Shadowmoor, Assassin of Zao, is a 5-mana, 4-loyalty, legendary planeswalker Sultai. Okay, so planeswalkers, their card type, their subtype, I guess I should say, is the name of the planeswalker itself, right? Because each planeswalker is kind of like them in a specific era of their life, I guess, kind of. So, like, Chandra might have multiple cards, and instead of being, like, humans across all of them... Is Chandra a human? I just kind of assumed she was. Is she an elf? Whatever. They're all Chandra cards, which is cool. It lets them do really interesting things, and it makes them really feel like these legendary characters, right? Sultai, I don't know what is. I know it is the term used for a 3-color combination in Magic, but it's named after, like, a shard, I guess, or something. It's named after a place in one of the sets, right? And, maybe not. Maybe it's a faction. Whatever. That's not the point. The point is, it's named after a thing in Magic lore, and that thing is not a planeswalker. Now, this is not Sultai, Assassin of Zao. This is Shadowmoor, Assassin of Zao. So, what does it mean to be a Sultai planeswalker? I don't know. Maybe it's just a new thing. I kind of like the idea of saying, like, oh yeah, this thing is known for this. All of these make a cycle of planeswalkers where they are typed in a way that makes the faction they're part of more relevant than who they are. Yeah, sure, why not? It's outside of form, but it seems reasonable. I haven't read what this card does yet. Also, Sultai does not include white. Whenever a creature you control dies, create a 2/2 green beast creature token. So, worth pointing out, this does go infinite with free sack outlets, because you kill a thing, it makes a 2/2, you kill that thing, it makes a 2/2, you kill that thing, it makes a 2/2. We've already seen effects like this in the set, or is in the block, so I'm okay with it. I'm not banning that effect, but it is something to be aware of. So, cool. I love that. For +1, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Activate only once each turn. Well, that's just how loyalty abilities work. I wonder if this would override things that are like, your planeswalkers can activate their abilities multiple times, because the ability specifically calls it out. I don't know. That's an interesting question. Either way, I think this is fine. It's not the most amazing thing, but it's a very powerful, like, enchantment, like a very powerful, like, static effect, followed by a way of just kind of doing some nice, cute little buffs. Not amazing, but it's fine. And even though it has no ultimate, it has no negatives to its loyalty, so it's never going to spend the loyalty. Every time you +1 it, it's that much harder to remove for your opponent. Yeah, I'm into it. After 10 years as a Zihu assassin, Shadowmoor discovered the Zao Court. Discovered the Zao Court was obsessed with mind games. He struck a deal. I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of that meant. Alright. Gideon, the young hero. Gideon? Alright, what's Gideon up to? Gideon the Young Hero is a 3-mana white and black 3/3 legendary enchantment creature god. Wow. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. That's a +1/+1 counter. I don't know why I said 1/1. As long as Gideon the Young Hero has 3 or more +1/+1 counters on creatures you control get +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on Gideon the Young Hero. Okay, I gotta break this down. First of all, Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Cool. The second spell you cast each turn will only happen ever once a turn, because only one of your spells is ever going to be the second one. So it has a limiting factor, but it hits every creature you control. Pretty powerful. Then it cares about when it has 3 or more 1/1 counters. But then it says on creatures, not when it has 3 or more 1/1 counters on it. Right? So that's kind of weird. I don't know what that means. So it can't have counters on creatures other than itself, but it is a creature. So if it had 1/1 counters on itself, that would... I'm going to just pretend that's what it says, because that's interesting. So if you had other ways of giving it counters, it could reach that status faster, but if you don't, then it will take 3 turns to reach that status itself. Okay, cool. Meaning, if it does have 3, then creatures you control get +1/+1 for each 1/1 counter on Gideon. So not only does it put a 1/1 counter on all of your creatures, when it hits 3, it's giving an additional +3/+3 to everything. And when it gets more counters, it's giving an additional +1 and +2 and +3 and +4. This card is very cool and very fitting of a legendary enchantment creature god. I'm going to allow it. The wording is weird and doesn't make sense, but I'm going to allow it. Gideon wanted only to care for his kin. Now he wants to lead them. So I'm picturing, like, let's ignore what we know about Gideon the character. Gideon is just a name. Like, there can be multiple Gideons. The idea of Gideon, this white-black aligned young god. This is a god who decided to lead their people. Right? They're not ruling from godliness, like, oh, I'm up here in the godly realm. They're down there and they're helping people. They're leading people. I think that's cool. I think that's rad. This card's interesting. It's time. It's time that one of the gods stepped up and did something around here. That's what I say. I'm into it. I think that card's excellent. Maybe too excellent. Raise Ancient is a 2-mana red and white sorcery. Return all creatures to their owner's hands. Reminder text, this effect lasts indefinitely. I mean, that's true. That's not wrong reminder text. Sure, it bounces them to the hand. It lasts until they get played again. Yes, that's fine. It doesn't end at the end of turn or anything. Although that does sound fun, like, return creatures to the owner's hands until end of turn. Like, why wouldn't you just exile them? I don't know. That's funny. But yeah, no. Raise Ancient, 2 mana, bounce everything. Very powerful effect. I think we saw the same effect in blue for like 5 or 6 mana. Oh well, I'm going to allow it. The Might of Death was never like this. Alright. Duskwatch Invoker is a 2-mana, 2/2 blue and black human knight. It's vanilla. 100 years ago, a ragtag band of Duskwatch cutthroats braved the Bolus domain, only to return with tales of war. They returned not as ragged bandits, but as the glorious defenders of arch-enemies hollow. This is not one of those stories. Life Coach! Yes! Life Coach is a 2-mana, 2/1, blue and black fairy wizard with flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Life Coach unless you play black. Tap, put target artifact or creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. This card sucks. If this, like, cheated something out every turn, that'd be pretty strong. You're like, okay, yeah, I'll pay the extra mana so that I can cheat something out every turn. Put it on top of your library. She sees in a dozen ways and keeps her thoughts to herself. Yeah, do that. Requiem Mage, good name, is a 2-mana, 2/1, blue and black vampire noble. Ooh. It has flying, and for blue and black, return Requiem Mage to its owner's hand. Eh. 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 I mean, it's a 2-mana 2/1 with flying. I think that's already fine. Okay, I guess the question I've asked myself is, if this was a 2-mana 2/1 with flying and no other text, would I keep it? Yeah, I guess. It's only a 2-mana spell. It can't be that cool. If your fangs and saliva will not persuade them, there is no hope. Spitwick. Icebreak Scout is a 5-mana, 2/3 green and blue elf scout. Tap, draw a card, then discard a card. It's way too expensive, but this effect is nice. I've been talking about it a bunch. I feel like we've seen it a whole bunch of times, and we have seen some things that care about discarding, I think. So, cool. I think 5 mana is just too much for it. Elves call the frost-bitten trees and roots of the ice field Yalqueresh home. It's one of the reasons the woodland elves survive the chill of Turkir. That's just a bunch of random nonsense. That didn't mean anything. It would be cool if, like, other things reference those things, but they can't, because the AI has no way of, like, integrating other concepts. White Guardian is a 5-mana blue and green 4/4 elemental. White Guardian gets +2/+2 as long as you control another green creature. 5-mana 4/4 or a 6-mana 5-mana 6/6. It's just not that interesting. And maybe I'm having too high hopes. I always go, ooh, multicolor. They've got to be cool, right? Like, multicolor is a cost. They're harder to cast than things that aren't multicolor, but its serene presence is soothing to the mind and refreshing to the body. I'm gonna try again. I think we can do better. Nantuko Shaman is a 5-mana 3/3 human druid. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a card you own from outside the game from your hand onto the battlefield. What? What? At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a card you own from outside the game from your hand onto the battlefield. You know what this reads to me, and it doesn't make any sense, and there's no way this is how this would actually work, but we've seen cards that let you put cards from outside the game into your hand, right? There's that one, like, elf, I think it was, that does that. The idea of saying, like, oh yeah, this is a card that's from outside the game that is now in my hand, and then I'm going to put it from the hand of the battlefield. That's really silly, but yeah, you may put a card you own in your hand on the battlefield as long as that card originated. It's like digital card games that'll be like, if this card didn't start in your deck, it's that kind of thing, right? You may put a card from your hand on the battlefield as long as that card didn't start in your deck. This body was meant to carry me through the winter. My head was meant to lead the people. Actually kind of a cool effect, because, like, just putting a thing on the battlefield every turn is very strong, especially from outside the game when it could be any card. But the idea that you had to have some way of getting it into your hand from outside the game first, like, that's kind of a cool restriction. If you made a set that was all about that and the wording was, like, officialized, kind of a cool idea. Phantasmancer is a 5-mana green-blue 3/4 spirit with flying. For green, Phantasmancer deals 1 damage to target creature. This is actually super busted. I've learned that just straight up being able to ping things for a single mana with no tap involved just is brutal. It's like, oh yeah, you got a 4 health thing, brr, dead. You got a 2 health thing, brr, dead. Right? Like, very powerful. So, yeah, 5-mana 3/4 with this ability, with flying, this is great. Aether trickles through the veins of a patient yet predatory foe. Yeah, Phantasmancer, spirit, predatory, patient. I can see it. I can see it. Did we already see a Zancha? That sounds so familiar. Zancha the Dazzling Sun is a 4-mana 4/4 red and white legendary enchantment creature angel. It has flying. For red, Zancha, the Dazzling Sun, deals X damage to any target. X is not defined. Did the AI see the name Zancha and be like, oh yeah, it's an X card. It's got X in it. Is that what happened? I mean, as we've already established, if this just had, like, deal 1 damage to any target, it would already be very strong, and maybe kind of boring, because we just had a very similar effect, so... Her spark burned all that came near, leaving behind the thawing snow and embers of fire. Sounded cool flavor-wise, but... Queen... No. Queen Angerbona Archon of the Aura... Legendary creature enchantment Archon, 2/4, has flying. For 2 mana, target creature gets +1/+0. For 2 mana, target creature gets +1/+1. The bridge is the key to the city. The bridge is the key to the world. Ravensong, the Storm's Fury, is a 4 mana legendary enchantment creature bird. And we can actually see the way that the watermark, what's that called? The set symbol is showing here. That means it is just bird. It didn't get cut off. That's so funny. It's a 4 mana, red and white, 2/3 with flying. For red and sacrifice Ravensong, destroy target non-black creature. Okay. For red and white and tap, put a 1/1 counter on Ravensong. This is not amazing. But it is cute. It is cool. If it's ever going to die, it can take something down with it. Yeah. Alright. I like it. Ravensong sings of the storm that brings forth life. And let's all ignore that I'm being, like, biased towards birds, because the birds are very funny to me. Amirani Lunarch Chronologist is a 5 mana, blue and red, 3/3 legendary enchantment creature god. When Amirani Lunarch Chronologist enters the battlefield, look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library, in any order. When Amirani enters the battlefield, create a token that's a copy of Amirani, Lunarch Chronologist. Wait, does this just go infinite? Wait, does this just draw you your entire deck? Because you play Amirani, Lunarch Chronologist. It makes you look at the top 2 cards, you draw one, you make a token that's a copy of Amirani. That token has entered the battlefield, so you look at the top 2 cards of your library and do it again, right? And then it makes another token. Now, they are legendary, so they're all going to legend rule themselves. It's not going to make... They're going to keep dying, but, like... Can you break this chain? Does this just go... Like, it definitely goes infinite with itself, but can you stop it from going infinite with itself? I don't think so. Well, I mean, I guess... Does legend rule happen before ETB? I'd be surprised if the answer was yes, but if it did, you could say I want to draw as many cards as I want. This card is cool. I wish it wasn't broken, because I love the idea of this thing enters and it creates a token copy of itself. That's fun. Yeah. She knows more than the mightiest libraries, yet she remains human. No, she doesn't. She's a broken god. Rashida, Amirani's student. Oh, you would say that, wouldn't you? Kessig Uncontrolled is a 5 mana 4/4 legendary enchantment creature Archon. Whenever Kessig Uncontrolled or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, create a 3/3 blue ice creature token, which of course is a creature entering the battlefield, so it would do it again, so it goes infinite once more. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. It doesn't do that. It doesn't have bestow or anything. It gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control. Also for unknown cost, untap Kessig Uncontrol. It consumes its kin in the fires of Azmira. Yeah, it does. Why is this one having so much trouble? Selesnya Envoy. We gotta get back to some legendary names. Come on. Is a 5-mana, blue and red, 2/4, legendary enchantment creature, Vidalkin? It has flying. Whenever you gain life, you may pay blue and red. If you do, return Selesnya Envoy from your graveyard to your hand. Your domain is so fine, the sun bleeds within me. Azala. That's a turn of phrase I'm not aware of. Auriok Elves is a 5-mana, 4/3 legendary enchantment creature goblin. Auriok Elves gets -1/-1 for each other card in your hand. It's just bad. It's just bad. They face no adversity they cannot conquer. Come on. Fairy Starfarer. Not a legendary name. Is a 5-mana, 3/3 legendary enchantment creature spirit. Okay. Whenever Fairy Starfarer or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control gain flying and +1/+0 until end of turn. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control gain vigilance until end of turn. It's kind of cool. If you could somehow make a bunch of enchantments enter the battlefield in the same turn, that's a pretty cool buff, I guess. This might be fine. I'm just so tempted to reroll it because it's like a mess. But like, okay, what is this? 5-mana, 3/3. Cool. It buffs everything, giving everything flying. It's all creatures, it's not like including itself. And +1/+0 until end of turn. Whenever a non-token creature creature enters the battlefield, creatures get vigilance. So you're constantly getting flying, you're constantly getting vigilance, you're obviously getting +1/+0. It's probably a pretty strong effect, honestly. I want a cool legendary creature. Is that so wrong? Her own empathic link with the living comes from understanding their interconnectedness. I'm sorry, Fairy Starfarer. You're actually a very cool card. Joyra, Imperial Archangel, is a 5-mana, blue and red, 5/5 legendary enchantment creature god. When Joyra, Imperial Archangel, enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target creature you control. Pay 3 life. Weird templating, but okay. Joyra deals 3 damage to any target. Oh, so as long as you have more life than your opponent, you can just kill your opponent. No questions asked. I'm sorry, Joyra. I was actually kind of excited to see a Joyra card. If I remember correctly, we've seen Joyra in like flavor text of cards in the past. And Joyra is a real character from Magic, but I don't know what she's like in this iteration. So having a Joyra card is actually kind of cool. I think that's too strong. Like legitimately, just like, oh yeah, if I it's 5 mana, kill your opponent as long as you have like 4 more life than them or something. Like, or not 4 more, like 1 more life than them, and they're at a multiple of 3, I guess. Whatever. The souls that formed her weave a glorious tapestry of our world. Without them, there would be no world. Wow. What a glorious archangel. Simic Signet Bearer is a 5-mana, 2/4 legendary enchantment creature human. It's indestructible. At the beginning of each end step, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token for each creature you control. That is wild. That's like actually pretty cool. What? Each end step, create a 1/1 colorless servo for each creature you control. So minimum of 1, and the next turn, minimum of 2, and the next turn. I mean, you know, things could die between there, but still. That's a cool effect. A very cool effect. I'm going to commit to the bit, and I'm going to not settle for something that isn't a legendary name. Sorry. Sorry, Simic Signet Bearer. You're not even very Simic. Look at them now, strung together like gargoyles, leering at the sky and awaiting their next command. Azalina. Inkmoth, Death's Majesty. Okay. Inkmoth, Death's Majesty is a 5-mana blue and red 3/4 legendary enchantment creature, Vidalcan. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets Inkmoth, Death's Majesty, draw a card. Huh. You know, if this was a Vidalcan wizard, this would be really cool, but we'll never know if it's a wizard or not. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, if it targets Inkmoth, you draw a card. I'm not saying that's bad. That's very strong. I don't know. I guess I hate it when I get like this. I've turned down so many cards that now the bar just keeps raising. When she's around, no one will get in my way. Formal, Blacksmith of Lotherton. Saheeli, Sublime Artificer. Okay, Saheeli's cool. She's a real character from Magic. Saheeli, Sublime Artificer is a 5-mana 4/4 legendary enchantment creature, Naga. Saheeli's not a Naga. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may pay 4 mana. If you do, gain 3 life. That's not good enough. She captures the forest's essence, feeding it into a vast collection of clocks. We can do better! Queen of the Fens is a 5-mana legendary enchantment creature, Spirit. It's a star with flying. Queen of the Fens' power and toughness are each equal to the number of islands you control. Okay, it is a blue and red card. Sure. When Queen of the Fens dies, return up to 1 of your islands you control to its owner's hand. What? What is this? So it's a 5-mana card that is, I mean, at the time of casting, it's, if you cast it on curve, at best it is like a 4/4 with flying, which is fine. That's okay. It could likewise also be a 1/1 with flying. Okay. Because you're blue islands and red mountains. But it continues to grow as you play islands. That's cool. When it dies, you are allowed to bounce an island if you wanted to for some reason. You aren't required. It's up to 1. This card has nothing special happening. It's just like, I get bigger with islands. Isn't that cool? And you're like, it's fine. Look on. I see what we have made. Are you so easily satisfied? Laressa, chieftain of the Humoctons. Humoctons? Queen of the Fens is a pretty cool legendary creature name. Kamal, Undying King, is a full... This has been the same mana cost this whole time, Darcy. Is a 5-mana, 5/4, blue and red legendary enchantment creature, Nymph. Other nymphs you control get +1/+1. That's cool. I don't know how many nymphs are in blue and red, but there are nymphs in the block. Alright. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, draw a card. Then you may discard a card. That... Alright. Like, you can't build around that. You don't know your opponent's gonna, like, cast spells on your creatures or not, but it's a cute little constellation. And I like the idea that it's a Nymph Lord. I think that's fun. Is that good enough for 5 mana? Probably not, but, like, it's cool. Shut up. The Dread God only watches over those of a single faith. Those others, the ignorant, are no concern of his. Kamal, High Priest of Kamal. Wait. Kamal Undying King. Kamal High Priest of Kamal. So wait, does Kamal Undying King have a priest named Kamal? I'm into it. I think that's fun. Maybe it's one of those things where, like, they're a nymph and they just, like, everyone is Kamal in their kingdom. They're just, like, what's the word? When you take a plant and you take a cutting and it grows. I guess I'm just thinking cutting. Whatever. I'm going to allow it. I'm sorry. Let me know what your favorite one of these ones were that I rolled past. Oh well. Cologan the Storm's Fury is a 5-mana green and blue 5/5 legendary enchantment creature elemental. It has trample. When Cologan the Storm's Fury enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until Cologan leaves the battlefield. For generic and blue, tap target creature. Yeah, I like it. It's a 5-mana 5/5 that jails something, and you can tap stuff down. Cool. Cologan's obsession with finding signatures of ancient dragons began long before he set out to claim power for himself. The way signatures is in a quotation marks makes me think it's like a magical signature of something that they are then, like, studying, and that's kind of cool. I think that's kind of fun. Frost Harpy is a 3-mana 2/2 enchantment creature nymph. It is red, it is green, it's not a harpy. Whenever a creature dies, Frost Harpy deals 1 damage to each opponent. That is actually terrifying. I think this is cool. It's weird that it's called Harpy. It's not a harpy. If it were a harpy, it would be even weirder that it doesn't have flying. But since it's a nymph, it kind of makes sense that it doesn't have flying. It's just a nymph called Frost Harpy. I don't know. Even the most corrupt of souls will be drawn to its beauty. The Harpy's Song. I guess. Gonti Prudent Steward is a 3-mana 2/2 legendary enchantment creature fairy. Creatures you control have death touch. That is cool. That is a cool effect. I like that. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on Gonti Prudent Steward. Cool, we got life gain payoff. We got death touch on everything. It's got a name that's shaped like a legendary creature. It's a fairy without flying. I don't know. In times of disaster, we rise. I actually kind of like fairies not having flying. Like, I feel like a lot of the times, fairies are depicted as only being able to fly, like, I don't know, 6 feet off the ground or something. Like, yeah, you can't fly very well when you get that far off the ground for some reason. I don't know how air pressure works. You can't really fly as well as other things can. You still can only block and be blocked by things on the ground. I'm okay with that. This is a cool card. I like this card a lot. Crush the Giants is a 7-mana red and green sorcery. Destroy target giant. And also draw 2 cards. Sure. That's really funny to me. Yeah, it's Crush the Giants. It destroys a giant. That's what it does. The Guardians of Grixis taught him their ways of shadow and steel. Oh, that's really funny. I'm not keeping that for 7 mana. Hellbent Right is a 7-mana red and green sorcery. I have a feeling we might be here for a while. Create a 3/3 red dragon creature token with flying and haste. It's still a land. Reminder text, it can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share a color with it. No bloodletting was necessary. Only a mind so black it spat them out whole. Yeah, alright, Hellbent, right. Oh, we're gonna be here so long. Merciless Abolisher is a 7-mana red and green sorcery. Put target creature on top of its owner's library. You know, worse than a kill spell. Baron, his master in life, lived to save him in death. Ardamus, green priest. I don't know if that makes any sense, but okay. Spell Shock is a 7-mana red and green sorcery. Create 3 2/2 red elemental creature tokens. Is this good? If this was instant, this might be good. It doesn't seem very good. It's 6/6 of power for 7 mana, but they are tokens, which is sometimes relevant. If this made like 6 1/1s, it'd probably be better because we care about the death triggers often. That's usually why we care about tokens, is so we can kill them. I'm not going to keep it. Also, Spell Shock just sounds like you're like zapping somebody. If this was like kill a creature and make 3 2/2s, maybe good enough. Every elf is a magician, whether they know it or not. Queen Asteria. That sounds like an insult. It's like saying like, oh yeah, they're jesters. Oh yeah, they're magicians. They're not actually wizards. They're just like charlatans. Ice Crown is a 7-mana red and green sorcery. Search your library for up to 3 cards with different names, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Huh. That's powerful. I mean, can you afford to, like, not do anything, not advance the board state at, like, when you have 7 mana? At the 7 land turn, can you afford to do that? Probably not, but it tutors for 3 cards. Like, they can't have the same name, but that's fine. I mean, it's weird that this doesn't say reveal the cards to prove they have different names, but whatever, I don't care. I'm gonna keep it. I don't think this is good enough, but tutoring is powerful. And if you're at the end of the game and you're going, oh no, I'm dying, and I have no cards in hand, and I've got 7 mana open, yeah, maybe you cast Ice Crown, and you find the 3 things, like, there are 3 card combos that will win games. That's just true. As long as you don't die on the following turn, you probably win after playing this. Okay. It's only cold once you're naked. Shrieking Winds, Tar Valon Spellbook. It's like a line from a spellbook that's like, to cast this spell, wander out into the wilderness to be one with nature. Don't worry, it's only cold once you're naked. Next step 2, get naked. Primal Avatar is a 4-mana, 3/3, red and blue human shaman. It has lifelink for 3 mana, generic red, blue. Regenerate Primal Avatar. This regenerate has reminder text. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an age counter on this permanent, then sacrifice it unless you pay its upkeep cost for each age counter on it. That's what regenerate means. Also for 3 mana, Primal Avatar gets +2/+0 until turn. It's not bad. Not bad. Who among the Izzet was the most persistent? Also, like lifelink is really powerful because there's so much life game payoff. It's a pretty good card. It's a pretty good card. Praetors of Enchanted Ice. Okay, we had the name of the set as a card previously, and we didn't keep it if I remember correctly. We went, nope, that doesn't work. Sorry. We're getting a second chance at having the set name in the set. Praetors of Enchanted Ice is a 4-mana, red and blue, 2/2 creature, Viashino Knight. It has flying. For 4 mana, Monstrosity 2. If this creature isn't monstrous, put 2 all-in counters on it, and it becomes monstrous. Whenever Praetor of Enchanted Ice attacks, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So, This is a 4 mana 2/2 with flying. You can spend an additional 4 mana to make it a 4/4. Whenever it attacks, though, it gets +2/+2. So if you're attacking with it, it's kind of like a 4 mana 4/4 with flying, which is pretty good. I kind of like this. And if any card was going to be named Praetors of Enchanted Ice, I mean, well, I don't really know why that doesn't work, does it? These Viashino Knights are not the Praetors of Enchanted Ice. It doesn't make any sense. But the idea of it being a blue-red card, I think, is actually kind of cool because, like, blue is the ice and red is the thing that's keeping people warm. Like, there's something kind of fun about that. Our cause is more than they can hope to destroy. These are not the Praetors of Enchanted Ice. Like, an enchantment named that seems kind of interesting. Or actually, like, a Council of Praetors, that's kind of interesting, but we've never even seen any Viashino in this set. I know it's stupid to reroll on a flavor grounds, because I think this is actually a pretty cool card. Sorry, I have to pass. It's too important of a name. Crystalborn Sphinx is a 4 mana 4/4 Sphinx. For 4 mana, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Whenever a player casts a spell with mana value less than your life total, put a 1/1 counter on Crystalborn Sphinx. Now, this card is busted and very cool, and I like it a lot. Holy crap, this card is rad. The activated ability is kind of lame, but hey, if you got the mana open, right? If you just have mana, something I have learned from actual experience playing the game is that something that even though looks like a really expensive activated ability can be awesome because you can use it as a mana sink. You can say, hey, I don't want to spend all my mana on my turn. I want to leave like 3 islands untapped or something so that I can cast a instant speed spell on my opponent's turn. And then the opportunity never really comes up to cast that spell. Then you go, cool, I'm going to spend 3 mana to do some ability that's not that relevant. It's just like, I've seen people do this with like investigating, right? They'll be like, oh, I spent 3 mana to investigate. I get a clue token. And then just later in the game, they have way better card draw than me. Investigate is a keyword that means make a clue token. A clue token is an artifact that you can sacrifice to draw a card. There's some mana involved as well. Anyway. So, like, yeah, actually, just like an ability that you're not planning on using. If you need to use the ability for the card to be good, then you want it to be a good ability. But if you're just like, no, it's fine. It'll sit there. I'll get a little bit of extra value with mana that I wasn't spending anyway. Beautiful. And it even gains me life and triggers all my life gain payoffs. This is excellent. Other than that, when a player casts a spell with mana value less than your life total, put a 1/1 counter on this, that's going to happen every spell until you get knocked down to like 4 life or something. Like, holy crap, is that good. On top of that, from a balance standpoint, even though it's a Sphinx, it doesn't have flying. I actually love that. This Sphinx should not fly. I don't know if there are any Sphinxes that don't fly in Magic. It's weird. Did this Sphinx get its wings clipped? Is it crystalborn, meaning its wings turned into crystals and it can't fly anymore? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But I like that it can't fly from a balance perspective. This card would be... I might re-roll this card if it could fly. It's so good. She knows that you have some spark in you. Some childlike curiosity. But to keep that child from escaping the prison of your skin, you must kill your innocence. I wish you were a legendary creature. This Crystalborn Sphinx sounds cool. What? Oh, that's excellent. Let's go. There really weren't any Phyrexians in this set, huh? Ebon Incarnate, a 2 mana 3/3 Phyrexian beast. I did actually see that before I said that, but still, there just haven't been very many. It's what made me think of him. It's an enchantment creature. It's a 3/3. It's red. It's black. It's white. It's a Phyrexian beast. You can sacrifice Ebon Incarnate to deal 3 damage to target creature. Great. We already saw a card that was 2 mana for a 3/3 with a downside. This is 2 mana for a 3/3 with an upside. I'm okay with that. I think that's fine. Great. As it grew in strength, the people discovered that it would make a useful weapon against it. No, against us. What? Kari Zeb Heretic Scout. Oh, I see. The scout's like, oh yeah, you know, the people realized that they could kill us with this Phyrexian beast. Oops. Oopsies. Alright. That's it for our multicolors. It's time. It's time for colorless. Let's see if we get any equipment, because honestly, there's a bunch of cards that interact with equipment. Trinket of Yore is a 2-mana artifact equipment. Trinket of Yore enters the battlefield tapped. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, equipped for 1. Huh, so this is just a 2-mana equipment that you equip for 1 to give something +1/+1. It's 3 mana to give something +1/+1. It's not very good. The fact that you can redo it again is nice. And honestly though, this card is not so impressive in like flavor that it makes me sad about the effect. So far, the only like equipments we've seen have been like legendary equipments, and I've always been like, oh, but it should be cooler, it's legendary. This, it's Trinket of Yore. It's just some bauble. Basically, every set has just kind of a bad short sword that's kicking around. I think that's fine. I think this is totally fine. On Gavany, an Auriok engine sat gathering ore. It blew its stacks, sending tremors through the mountaintops and roaring skyward with an unholy fury. I've been seeing Auriok a lot, like Auriok or Orion or something, like stuff like that. Is that just like the AI throwing words together, or is that a real term in Magic? I've never seen it in Magic before. Alright, yeah. It's not good, but it's fine. The fact that it comes in tapped is like completely irrelevant too. I didn't mention that, but like you don't need to be untapped to like activate equip costs or anything, so it's fine. It's totally fine. Shaman's Lantern is a 3-mana artifact that taps to add red. That is bad for a few reasons. One, it's just not good as like value, but also just why does red get a mana rock? What's special about red? Why do they get one? I don't know. It feels like if you're gonna do that, make it a whole cycle. And it's AI. We know they're not gonna make cycles. That's one of the saddest things about the AI Magic is that it can't make cycles. It doesn't know how, right? If you were gonna do it, you'd have to basically intentionally go, ooh, that was a cool card. Let's make it into a cycle, and then you, as a custom like Magic designer, could make your own cycle out of it, which would be fun. Don't get me wrong. That would be a cool thing to do, but that's not what I'm doing here. In shimmering white and snow, what? In shimmering white, ice and snow provide the only means of transportation, signaling Shaman's Lantern's many uses. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's part of our setting. Yeah. Moonwell Orb is a 3-mana artifact. Beginning of your upkeep, if you have 20 or more life, you win the game. That is too easy, is the problem. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's like turn 1, heal yourself. Turn 2, put down a blocker. Turn 3, you play Moonwell Orb. Turn 4, you win. Like, no. No, we're not doing it. If this was like 40 life or 60 life, I'd be like, okay, there's a lot of life gain in this set. That could be fun. No, at 20 life? No. You just play this in Commander? It's not like more than your starting life total. It's just 20 life or more. It's 20 life or more. You don't even need to heal. You don't even need to heal. You know what? Like, I'm gonna give you respect for trying something different, Urza's AI. When people see its pulsing light, they long for its soothing light, just as their minds crave a reprieve from the never-ending confines of life. Oh, that got dark. Ah. Necropotence, that's a real spell, I think, is a 3-mana artifact. Necropotence enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add colorless. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. Okay. So, this is not very good, I don't think, as far as mana rocks go, the term that people use to refer to an artifact that generates mana. And, but it can generate any color of mana, including colorless, which might be relevant, because colorless mana is sometimes required It must actually be devoid of color. It can't just be any mana. Generic mana and colorless mana are not the same thing. And, but it enters tap, so it's slow. You don't get to use the mana the turn you play it. But I think that, like, in a limited, you might run this. I think it's fine in a lot of limited, especially if you're trying to, especially if you need the color fixing. Like, you're in limited, and you're like, I'm in 3 colors, and I don't have anything that lets me generate mana in a consistent way. Yeah, you might run it. I'll allow it. The name is stupid, because that's just like a very, very powerful spell that people know about, I think, if I remember correctly. Death, may you take my cares, my heart, my world. Ursula, ruler of Talos. Alright. Dang it. Come on, there it goes. Murmuring Stones is a 2-mana artifact. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player mills a card. Okay. Yeah, sure. Fills your graveyard, mills your opponent. Cool. For 5 mana, requiring 2 blue pips, exile target creature. Now that is strong. If I had a spell that was like instant speed, 5 mana, exile target creature, I'd go, yeah, that's like not super great. You know, like murder's better than that. Sure, it's not exiling, it's killing, but like, you know, whatever. Sometimes exile is a huge payoff, so I think it's good enough to keep, but it's just kind of a mediocre card. That's what I would normally say. The fact that this is a repeatable effect doesn't even require it to tap or anything. Just a repeatable effect, no extra card played from hand, doesn't cost you any card advantage. Like, nah, that's so strong. And the fact that it requires 2 blue is like weirdly kind of a downside in my deck, my like set construction, because I don't think the other colors are gonna get a cool thing to compete with this. It's just, for some reason, blue gets this really good exile card. What's up with that? To the pinnacle of Mount Eterna, to the nether realm of the vapors, to all the mountains and tundras, to all the lakes and streams, to all the ice and snow, may we find it in our hearts to share the ice and water, to come together in its reflection. That's really sweet. I kind of want to keep it. It's a cool card! I'm gonna reroll it. Murmuring Stone. This is a cool card. I like this card. Oh well. Maybe we'll do better, you know? That's always the thing about rerolling, is maybe it'll be better. Invading Alarmist is a 2-mana artifact. Creatures you control have Menace. For tap, Invading Alarmist deals 1 damage to any target. That's a pretty good card. That's pretty good. Menace, meaning your creatures can't be blocked unless a minimum of 2 creatures are blocking the creature, which I like that effect. I think it's a really fun way of being like, yep, we're going to be doing this. It's hard to block me, but not impossible to block me. Really good design. Like that a lot. We will remind you of the duty you have to yourself and your people. A blasphemer who cannot withstand our warnings will find himself a receptacle of our judgment. Pogot, Elvish Holy Man. Invading Alarmists does not sound like an artifact, but oh well, what you gonna do? Frost Mantle Inquisitor is a 6-mana 4/3 artifact creature spirit. What does an artifact spirit even look like? As long as it's your turn, Frost Mantle Inquisitor has tap, add 1 mana of any color. This card sucks. What? What? It's a 6-mana 4/3. And all it gets to do is tap for mana? And it's 6 mana? The presence of the ice sent a chill through them. The slither of fire seemed to respond to it. I do want to say, I kind of like the idea that an artifact spirit is like a bedsheet thrown over a scarecrow. It's an artifact that's representing a spirit. I guess. Enchanted Kami of Reflection is a 6-mana 2/3 Viashino soldier. Some of Viashinos today. It has flying. For 2 mana, Enchanted Kami of Reflection gets +1/+1 until end of turn. No, not for 6 mana. Sorry. Kind of cool. The fact that it like can buff itself and it has flying, so it's evasive. A Wakazashi's Cutlery, a Kama's curved blade. The god of reflection, like its namesake, seeks to dissect a being's inner self. Kanako, yokai researcher. Master of Frost is a 6-mana 4/4 artifact creature chimera. Chimera spells you cast 1 less to cast. I don't think there are any other chimeras, but it's a cool effect. I don't know. It's not amazing. It's not good. It just kind of occurred to me suddenly that oftentimes artifact creatures are kind of bad. Like, the upside is that they can go in any deck, so, hey, when you're doing limited, you can pick them up without worrying that they're not going to go into your final deck, and that is, like, the upside when they otherwise are intentionally statted badly. So, 6-mana 4/4, if this isn't flying, I think this card would be really good. Not, like, amazing, but just, like, yeah. 6-mana 4/4 with flying is okay. Are you ever going to discount a Chimera? Probably not, but if you had 4 of these... It's a 6, it's 5, it's 4. Last one's 3. It's kind of fun, I guess. It's still bad, but like, yeah, it's something. I'm gonna keep it. The shards of magic the Chimera collects from its hunts may be its food, but the siphons, whips, and jaws of the beast are more its fuel. Also want to mention there have been a few cards that care about artifact creatures, so it's cool that we're seeing some. I'm glad there are some in this set. Ghost Quill Amulet is a 3-mana legendary artifact equipment. Ooh, legendary. Okay. Equipped creature gets +2/+2. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token that's tapped and attacking that player. Huh. It equips for 2. So, this really just makes a 2/2 black zombie creature token that's tapped. It is true that because of the way the attack step works, the attack phase works, after you have attacked and resolved blockers and hit face, right, after damage has been resolved, the creature is still, for a period of time, attacking, even though it's already dealt its damage, but the attack phase hasn't ended yet. So you could create things that are attacking. They wouldn't hit face, they wouldn't do damage, the damage step has already ended, but there's nothing that would stop the creatures from being able to come into play attacking. And maybe you have things that care about creatures attacking, I don't know. I mean, could you ninjutsu this? Right? Judges in the comments. Could you ninjutsu this 2/2 black zombie creature token? I think you could. It would appear attacking. It never does damage. And it never got blocked. You can ninjutsu that, right? I don't know if you'd want to, but like it's an interesting thought. Like, that's kind of cool. Like, if Ghost Quill Amulet is unblocked, you get a free ninjutsu after the damage step is resolved. So the ninjutsu wouldn't do damage, but it would get into play for cheap. That's kind of fun. There's something fun about that. It's like an alternate use of this card. I like this. Also, it has equip 2. I should mention that before we get to a point where it's like, oh wait, you can't equip it. No, it has equip 2. I kind of like it. I think 5 mana for +2/+2 is too much. But creating a 2/2 every time you deal combat damage, that's pretty good. It does have to do combat damage to a player. It doesn't, like, if you hit a creature, that doesn't count. So it's a little bit annoying, but, you know, you can equip it to something evasive. It's fine. I think this card's cool. Now, is it legendary? I don't know, but Ghost Quill Amulet's a rad name. The marks that are etched into the mirror of dreams may also be seen in the real world. Castle Crag! We're done! This means we're done! Because we have a few snowlands to go through that are all going to be bad, including this one, as you can see if you're looking at the screen right now. We're going to go through them. We're going to look at what the AI has to come up with. We're not going to keep any of them unless there's something amazingly actually good. But yeah, that's it. So we're going to do these, but oh, I'm excited. Next time, we are going to review the set, and then it's time for some gameplay videos. Very excited. Okay, Castle Crag, Snowland. It's a mountain and a forest, so I guess it taps for red and green. That's true. Although it does say mountain forests with an S on the end. That's weird. You know, all of the basic land types are singular except for plains. What's up with that, wizards? Anyway, it's got 6B, 6 black, 12, 18, 0, 0, 18, and 36. The Praetor rules the land in the shadows of the cold peaks, just as it once ruled the dragons of Midgard. See if we can get a second shot at our snowland here. There are a few more snowlands under here, and we don't expect any of them to work, so whatever. But I'd like to get at least one that's kind of interesting, like a jumping off point. The other one was just absolutely nothing. Orenheim Temple is a snowland. Orenheim Temple enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for white or blue. That's just a real card. It's nothing. It's not interesting. It's just, yeah, okay. Yeah. As a lone beacon in the dead of night, Orenheim stands a poor chance of survival. It would not be out of the ordinary for the great mage's flames to be taken for illumination. But this fate was prevented. I don't know what that means. Tower of Seasons. That's a great name, actually. Tower of Seasons is a snowland. As you enter the snow-covered lands of the Tower of Seasons, your mission will be to defend it from a swarm of abominable beasts. You are joined by 3 brave explorers, Edric, Isadora, and Lucas, and together you must fight to survive. What? What? The ice in this land does not only stop things, it also slows the progression of time, allowing the tower to grow with each passing season. This is just a completely different game and or book or something, maybe? I guess it's a game. It's just like not a card game. This is not even a card. It's just like the flavor for it's like that little flavor paragraph at the beginning of a rules booklet for a board game or something. Or a video game it could be. Oh, this is great. It's so funny. Why did it do that? I'm gonna leave it. I think that's great. Sapphire Capital is a snowland mountain village. That's a land type, probably. Sapphire Capital is the 4th snow-covered village you encounter. What is going on? What the heck? Is the AI telling a story over multiple cards? Sapphire Capital is the 4th snow-covered village you encounter. The village has the thickest snow in the game. The game? What? Okay. I thought this was like in-world flavor text, but no, it's not, or narration. Which causes you to sink if you step off of it. This is like the box text from like a role-playing game module, where it's just like, it's not even like to be read to the players, but for the GM to be like, I see, and this is the section where it's the thickest snow in the game, so make sure I remember to not have thicker snow anywhere else in the game. Good to know. And if you step off into it, you sink. Okay, cool. Yeah, I can definitely use that in my game. Like, what? Only a few ever manage to navigate its mountain roads and survive. The local saying is that anyone who falls asleep while walking around here will freeze to death before sunrise. Okay. Seems pretty good. Oh. That's it. That was it, actually. Ignore the Hydra Mystic. Actually, I'm going to just roll back up and not... We're going to make sure that we're not even going to... And that's it. I mean, we didn't really generate any lands, but that was really funny. I'm really glad that happened. All right. That's it. That's our green cards, our multicolor cards, our colorless cards. I'm excited. Thank you all for joining me making Praetors of the Enchanted Ice. I think it was a bit of a smaller set. It was weird. Every day was so long, and then this one went by actually really fast. I think. I don't want you to know how long I've been streaming for. Maybe it's not been very short. I just had more time. I don't know. But we got through it. We will be doing a set review. It'll be a little different because we don't need to, like, figure out a name for the next set, because there's no next set. I mean, there will be eventually, but... as fun as it is to make cards, it doesn't have the same weight to it. It doesn't have the same impact if we don't know the cards are eventually going to get played with. So it is time to actually put these cards into play. See what they're like in play. And I want to do a bunch of videos. I want to do a whole bunch of stuff. I probably, if you're watching on the stream VODs, I probably won't be doing a lot of streaming on specific days so that I don't have to worry about finding times that my players can, that other people, people I can play the games with, they don't have to adhere to my stream schedule. So I'm going to be trying to get as many games recorded, and they'll be out to you at the usual schedule. So thank you all for joining me. I am rambling in my outro, so I'll catch you next time. I've been DarcyBits. Have a good night.